Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of True Crime Time for Thursday, March the 27th, and I'm Woody Overton.
I'm Cyndi Overton.
And we're still in 2025. It is going by fast, though.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Warming up outside. The azaleas are in bloom. If you're not from Louisiana, I'm sure they have them in other states, but the azaleas are my favorite flowers. My yard, when I was growing up, was full of them. There was 100 of them in the yard, and they get to be so big. But they only last a couple weeks a year. This is the time.
It was like the marker for, of course, your house driving in on Plank Road, but the azalea bushes were like, and that was a focal point.
All the way around that back pasture too. And then, but that's how I've been riding around. To my dad, the doctor the other day and stuff, when we're looking at all the azaleas, I'm like, spring is upon us.
Sophie has 2 in her yard.
That's right. Yeah. And their new house. Congrats on that.
Yeah.
But so that, and we got squash plants popping up.
We do.
I'm watching them every day like a crackhead.
That's great.
All right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't planted the rest of it yet.
No, we still need to go get our
and bell peppers. Other good stuff. All right. Cheryl Reed, I forgot to mention on the last show, sent me a bottle. She knows I'm a hot sauce connoisseur, and she's the one that her and her husband had the bed and breakfast in Arizona, and they've been inviting us for all these years to go. And she sent a thing with the new hot sauce saying they moved to the Ozarks, and, they're on the lake and have the boat and all that. What she doesn't know, Cheryl, and I'm telling you now, is that for about 3 years ago, I was on a serious Ozarks kick. Like, looked at all the lakes and everything else, even diving in the freshwater lakes. And because we love boating and being on the water, we live on the water right now. Yeah. But it's not clear water. And it's not like they have up there, and it's beautiful up there. So congrats, Cheryl, on your new place, and hope y'all enjoy it. And guess what? We will come up.
Yes.
Right?
I can't wait.
That's halfway to Wisconsin. So let's get down to some true crime time for Thursday.
Okay.
Hey, real quick shout out. Tomorrow night, doing a rehearsal supper, and Saturday, I'm officiating a wedding for Maddie Reed and her beau, and I'm honored to be a part of that. So it'll be a good time.
It's going to be a great time.
So anyway, let's get down to true crime time for Thursday.
Well, this Thursday, we're going to start off in Austin, Texas.
Boy, I love me some Austin. Keep it weird. People don't know. That's where I lived there for months and months and months when I went to polygraph school at Texas DPS headquarters, and we go back pretty much every year for advanced classes and stuff like that. And I loved Austin.
When I went with you, I was pregnant with Dubs, and you went to the advanced classes for countermeasures, and there was another specific...
That was sex offender testing.
Okay, yes.
That was 2 different trips.
Did we stay at the same hotel that you lived at?
No.
Oh, okay.
I lived in the Bikinis that was how long ago it was. The very first Bikinis had opened up. It's like a Hooters. And that was right in front of my hotel. And I was the only one who didn't have to live in the dormitory at this Texas State Police. That's what they call it, DPS, but their training academy. Yeah. But I told my sheriff, I'm like, I'm not living in a room with another dude for 3+ months. And he was nice enough to give me a hotel, and the beer was very cold right in the front. Yeah, we did. And it was too long to drive back home every weekend. And the whole school, I think I drove home 2 times. So.
Well, you did take me to the bikinis in your favorite Mexican restaurant.
Ooh, I love that green sauce.
Yes. And I was able to duplicate it to an extent that back then. I don't think I could do it again.
Yep.
But guess why we're going to Austin? I don't want to. Okay. Guess why we're going to Austin?
Sure. It's about a crime.
You're such a genius.
Yes, I am. I didn't get it wrong there.
I just don't feel like, we keep telling these stories, and you always say you don't like to tell stories because of copycats. And I just feel like all of these people out there are listening to True Crime Time 4, and they're like, I think I'm going to go do this same thing.
Well, shame on them.
So
what they do is you got somebody taking a dookie in the Family Dollar.
No, I've got someone vandalizing a Tesla showroom.
Oh, here we go.
So on March 24th, just after 8 a.m., police were called to the Tesla dealership on North Highway 183.
Mm-hmm.
And the report was that there were suspicious devices found near the building.
Okay.
Bomb squad came.
IEDs.
And they confirmed that these weren't just random items. They were incendiary. Yeah, devices. And
IEDs.
Meant to start fires.
Yep.
So thankfully no one was hurt and the devices were safely removed. But as we know, this wasn't an isolated incident. So the FBI quickly confirmed that Tesla showrooms and charging stations have been targeted in multiple states, but they've now launched a national task force to investigate all of these.
I think they labeled it under hate crime or something like
domestic terrorism.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what domestic terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
But and technically it is. It doesn't. Again, it's not a political show. It could be against whatever. It could be against Jewish synagogues or whatever. But they are establishing a pattern against this one certain type of place for. Basically, this terrorism.
Yeah.
You're trying to stop a motherfucker from buying a Tesla. I get that, but what about the people who work there?
Exactly.
I'm like, holy shit, is a mass shooter going to come in today, or I'm going to show up and get blown up?
Yeah.
In the United States of America, you shouldn't have to fear that.
Yeah. So, like we've talked about in recent incidences, Nazi symbols and far-right rhetoric have been left behind, we
got some not compliments. We got some comments on that, and they were very respectful of each other's difference in opinions. Mm-hmm. And again, this is not a political show. I don't give a shit if it's a Joe Biden showroom or a Trump showroom or whatever. This is a crime show, and it's a crime.
Right. Well, this article says the use of the Nazi imagery in these cases isn't just about shock. It's meant to threaten, intimidate, and signal allegiance with extremist views. And it's the same kind of symbolism that's been showing up more frequently in politically charged attacks across the United States. So the FBI and the ATF and local law enforcement are urging the public to stay alert. Can you imagine driving a Tesla and just having...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their sales are going to be down.
Yeah.
Well, then some people might, like I said the other day, some people might get pissed off and be like, fuck it, I'm buying a Tesla.
So nobody was arrested in this Austin incident as of yet, but obviously it's showing that someone's targeting that Tesla.
Let me tell you something. They're going to get their fucking ass. The feds are on it, and you left bombs?
Yeah.
Bitch, you better believe. The one thing you don't want to do nowadays, that's like getting on an airplane and having a bomb. You don't want to leave bombs anywhere. They're going to exhaust all resources, and they have shit that nobody's ever dreamed about. They're going to find out where the parts were that made the bomb, where they came from. It doesn't matter how much you covered your tracks. And when the feds come to get you, you go into federal prison.
Yeah.
And as it should be, fuck. Think about the Boston bomber at the marathon and just all different ones. People just trying to live their lives and do their own shit and get killed because some other body thinks somebody's an asshole, So I don't know, but here's one. It's time for worldwide crime. I watch a lot of the shows like Contraband. People get caught whatever. Sometimes it might be bringing meat from a third world country, or a lot of times, most times it's hauling dope, or sometimes they even have been smuggled in like birds and pets.
Yeah.
They catch them and they bring them back in the room, and of course they're trained, right? They know what to look for and all that. Well, we're going to China. China. And I do not have to ask, does China have the death penalty? Because I know they do. All right. In fact, they execute you by shooting you in the head, and then they bill your family for the bullet. All right. So, well, there's some Canadians who went to China. Can't imagine why, but they went to China, and guess what? They got executed. That's right. They sure did. You know why? Because they were convicted of smuggling drugs.
Well, good for them. Sorry.
Into the country.
We should have that. I
mean, you know, as long as people do dope, they're going to be dope dealers. But these four individuals, they had both Canadian and Chinese citizenship, and they were convicted on dope charges. So Melanie Hawley, Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, told the press on Wednesday, March the 19th, about the execution. She also said the Canadian government is in communication with Beijing, and they petitioned for clemency for other Canadian citizens who are facing similar charges. Now, can you imagine that you get, like, Louisiana just executed its first one since Gerald Bourdelon in all these years, like 15 years, however long it was, longer than that probably, and 17 years, whatever. But you're locked up in a Chinese prison, which I'm sure it's not a nice place to be, right? But you are housed there you got busted smuggling dope. And these other people are in there for the same reason, and they've been sentenced to death. And guess what? The Chinese are not having any of this waiting however many years. Yeah, you're like, okay, you got sentenced, and
no appeals.
We're taking you out, lining you up one to the head, right? So the Canadian government doesn't like that, and they're asking the Chinese to not execute the rest of their people. But the identities, you know, the ones that are executed have not been released at the request of the families. But they said there are 4 Canadians that have been executed, and therefore we are strongly condemning what happened. That's what that minister said. Now, Wang Yi, China's Minister of Foreign Affairs, said China had acted in accordance with the law. The Chinese embassy backed the minister's statement, saying there was solid and sufficient evidence for the convictions. I always say our system ain't perfect, but it's the best in the world. You try some of your shit you try here, go try it in China.
Right.
But Jolly said she had been working closely with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to prevent the executions from happening. And Canada had repeatedly called for clemency for these individuals at the senior-most levels and remained steadfast in its opposition to the use of the death penalty in all cases, everywhere. So guess what? I never have to look up, does Canada have death penalty? Because obviously they don't. They said this isn't the first time a Canadian has faced death penalty in regards to drug smuggling into China. A dude named Robert Schellenberg was sentenced to 15 years in prison after being convicted in 2018 of drug smuggling. I wonder why they got the death penalty. He got 15 years. But a year later, in 2019, a Dalian court sentenced Schellenberg to death, but he hadn't been executed yet.
Oh.
6 years. That's a long time for Chinese.
Yeah.
So they said Canada strongly condemns. Come on, man. I always do it, like in court, the lawyer object and the judge turns it down and he said, but Your Honor, I strongly object.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, we got you the first time. As you object.
I'm really mad.
I condemn it. No, I strongly condemn it.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to slap your wrist.
So they said Canada strongly condemns China's decision to uphold the death penalty sentence. Mark Garneau, the former Canadian foreign minister. He said, we have reportedly expressed to China our firm opposition to this cruel and inhumane punishment. So let's talk about that. We know that China is a major player in the whole fentanyl deal, right?
That's exactly where my brain went.
What kind of dope do you think they smuggling in China that they can't get on their own?
I don't know.
What kind of narcotics are smuggled into China that get you the death penalty?
Here's what I found.
I'm going to tell you all about it. Holy shit, this whole big long thing. Well, guess what just happened? China executed 3 Filipinos on Wednesday for the non-violent offense of drug smuggling, which falls short of the legal threshold of the most serious crimes as set in an international covenant on civil and political rights. But guess what? China doesn't give a fuck about that. And they said Raymond Credo, a 42-year-old father of 5, was detained 28th of December at Gaji International Airport in China. And he was smuggling 4,113 grams of heroin. Okay, there's one. Another one also had over 4,000 grams of heroin. And the next one had over 6,800 grams of heroin. So
heroin is their deal.
I guess so, right?
That's their cutoff.
That's it.
We're going to send you fentanyl, but
fentanyl's much worse than heroin.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
because it's like a silent killer. You don't know what you're getting. The heroin, at least, like you're gonna chase that dragon with the heroin, or shoot it up, or chasing the dragon, being smoking it. Interesting.
You know what I thought about just for the first time, which was amazing, like that I didn't have to worry about this.
We all know I love me some tacos. They're great every night of the week, not just Taco Tuesday. But Cyndi really wants me to eat healthier this year, and Factor chef-made gourmet meals have made eating well easy. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for my busy lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goal. Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto, Factor has it all figured out. My favorite meal has been the jalapeno sweet corn polenta and chicken. Imagine a whole chicken breast marinated in lemon juice, garlic, and smoked paprika, grilled until juicy and topped with a zesty salsa verde. It's served over a creamy Parmesan polenta loaded with diced jalapenos, corn, mozzarella, and scallions. Bell peppers, red onions, and cauliflower are served on the side with fajita spiced butter. It was delicious and nutritious. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. March is Sleep Awareness Month. The perfect time for you to think about the quality of your sleep and how the mattress you choose can make all the difference. Avocado Green Mattress is committed to providing mattresses that not only help you sleep better, but also are healthier for you and the planet. Did you know that with the right mattress, you can improve your sleep quality by up to 50%? If you're not waking up refreshed and ready to tackle the day, it might be time to consider Avocado and their sleep-enhancing design. Cyndi and I love Avocado for so many reasons. Not only are the materials organic and free of chemical and toxins, Avocado mattresses promote better sleep through breathable, naturally temperature-regulated materials, which is so important to our sleep right now. Did I mention there is a mattress to fit your needs too? Avocado offers gentle to firm to plush mattress comfort and support. Take their quiz to find out which mattress and comfort option is right for you. Avocado stands by their products too. They offer easy financing options with a firm, sleep trials up to 1 year, and options to try before you buy. Head to avocadomattress.com today and save up to 10% on certified organic mattresses. Dream of better.
Every night when I take my little quarter of a gummy of sleepy time
from Mood,
I have
or sponsor.
never thought, could this be laced with fentanyl?
No.
You know what I mean? Like
all their stuff comes from the highly selective organic, everything's purely organic farmers. Yeah. And
it never even crossed my mind until we're reading this and I'm.
Yep. But I mean, if you buy the gummy off the street, chances are you might get fentanyl.
Exactly.
And I always joke and say what happened today is going down to your local strip club and getting some good dope.
Yeah, those are gone.
You're gone. I wouldn't take shit off the street now if you begged me to. Yeah, and we know too many people have died from it, but
I would.
All right, take us somewhere else. China will kill you.
Well, we're going to England.
Well, then let's get another one. It's time for worldwide crime.
So I would say Monty Python was probably like one of my only shows. Or there's a TV show from England. It's like the older people. They have such a dry sense of humor. I didn't even know the British had soap operas. I associate that with telenovelas, right?
Right.
Like Mexican.
I always associate with like General Hospital and Days of Our Lives.
Well, for American
when
version.
I was a kid, that was the only thing that was on. We didn't have cable TV.
All My Children.
Yeah.
Well, a British soap star known for her roles in Casualty and Holby City got behind the wheel of her little Mini Cooper on a little quiet road in Lincolnshire, England.
You know why soap operas are still popular? I always say it. Nothing sells like sex and drugs. And murder.
But this British soap star named Amanda Mealing.
Mm-hmm. She got behind her Mini Cooper?
She got behind the wheel of her car on January 26th of 2024 around 10:15 a.m.
Okay.
She caused a 3-car crash.
Right. I bet she was a loser in the Mini Cooper.
Well, some of the names of these cars I don't know, but she had her Mini, a blue Skoda, Skoda.
Yeah, some European stuff.
And a gray Ford Transit van.
Mm-hmm. That was the import.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Among the victims were Mark Lesage, who was a nurse and father of 3.
But the victim of what?
Of the collision.
Okay, so they're not dead?
No.
Okay.
He was knocked unconscious and left with injuries that are severe that he can no longer work.
Mm.
When police arrived at the collision site, Amanda tested positive for cocaine.
Mm.
And she was arrested at the scene and later charged with 3 offenses. Driving over the drug limit.
Driving over the drug limit?
Uh-huh.
Tommy Cox, you got a drug limit? I mean,
driving over.
I can smoke some meth, and as long as it's not too much, I can still drive.
I guess and driving with a controlled substance in her system.
They must be able to get blood tests on the side of the road or something.
And driving without due care and attention. So reckless driving, right?
Yeah, right. Because you're fucked up.
So in March of 2025, she pleaded guilty to all of her charges.
Right.
She got a 22-month driving ban.
Okay.
And 2 fines.
She's like a famous person.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And the 2 fines were a victim surcharge. I don't know. And they roughly totaled about $880. But Mark, the guy that I told you is the nurse and the father that can't work anymore, he reported to the Daily Mail he's lucky to be alive because he normally took his motorcycle to work and he didn't take it that day. Had he would have been dead. Mm. However, surviving this and not having the same life anymore is...
Hey, he fucked them up.
Right.
I hope she made a whole lot of money as a soap star so they can sue her.
I don't know.
If they have that.
They say that Amanda hasn't spoken publicly about the incident and she may serve a sentence quietly, and the consequences of her choices continue to ripple.
I wonder if she's still on TV.
I don't know.
Maybe it adds a little.
I think Tommy could probably tell us.
A little drama to it. I don't know.
Maybe they could put that in one of her storylines.
She probably doesn't want it in the storyline.
Right.
I don't know. Interesting. I wasn't going to do this story, but I don't think I'm going to do it anyway. It's time for Effed Up Professionals. I used to love to watch Family Feud.
Oh, me too.
Richard Dawson was the host. He kissed all the women. And he was also on Hogan's Heroes when he was younger and all that. You remember him?
Mm-hmm,
I think he was like kind of British or something too. He was cool as fuck. Mm-hmm. And of course, we didn't have anything. We had black and white TVs, 2.5 channels, no cable TV, but it would come on every afternoon and I would watch it. and, just loved it. Well, not Wheel of Fortune. I'm talking about Family Feud.
No, I know, but after Family Feud was Wheel of Fortune.
Okay. So back to Family Feud. I like to, especially the tick-off round where, the two from the winning team go for the money, you duplicate the answer, and you got to re-go. But I was thinking, kind of led me into a couple of other game shows since you started talking about Wheel of Fortune. What was the one, the Newlywed Game?
Oh.
This is one of the best. So they have all the newlyweds up there and they ask a question, and for sex, they would say whoopee.
Right.
Back then, because you couldn't say sex, right? Or you couldn't do shit back then. But anyway, they asked for the couples and they had to write it down. Their partner had to write down what the answer was. And he said, "What is the strangest place you've ever made whoopee?" And the first people said, like, on a plane, and they got it right. And then the other one said, in a public park, and they got it right. And they got to the last dude and said, and whatever his name, "John, what's your answer?" And he said, turned it around, and he had a real thing. He said, "I'd have to say that'd be in the butt, Bob." Can't make that shit up. But you can't make this up either. We're going back to Family Feud.
Okay.
Because you never know. Some people said the stupidest fucking answers. But this dude, Christopher Cresona, he's 57 years old. And guess what he does for a living, Sin? He's an elementary schooler.
Okay.
All right. Of where he was in the state of Delaware between 1994 and 1996. He also was a proud educator who competed on Family Feud. Until he wasn't so proud now, because he has been arrested and is facing multiple charges in Delaware. And he was working as an elementary school teacher when he was arrested in Orange County, Florida. So he moved from Delaware to Florida, was teaching kids, right? And he got arrested on March 10th. Now, he's arrested because there's allegations of abuse from a former student at St. Thomas, the Apostle School in Wilmington, Delaware, where he was a teacher from 1994 to 1996. And this, according to the Delaware Attorney General's office, he was charged on 7 counts, including 3 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse, unlawful sexual penetration, and continuous sexual abuse of a child. Right? Teacher, and the fucked up professional. The abuse was uncovered during an investigation into allegations of abuse at the Wilmington School and Rectory, which also implicated an 80-year-old John Taggart, who was a priest and repeatedly abused a victim during their 7th and 8th grade years at St. Thomas, and continued after the victim left St. Thomas and began high school, according to the Attorney General. Now, the same victim who told on the priest told on Cresona also. And they said Cresona was removed mid-year in 1996 from school following a student complaint. And he went on to work at 3 other local schools before he found his employment in Florida. You get shipped around, you motherfuckers. You shouldn't have done that. Now, Kathy Jennings is the state attorney general, said in a statement, the indictment alleges a pattern of gravely serious abuse against juvenile by 2 adults in a position of trust, the fucking priest and the teacher. It said, as prosecutors and as parents, these kinds of cases keep us up at night, but they also give us purpose. The victim in this case suffered profound trauma over a period of years and deserves justice. I agree. Then she says, I am grateful to the police, the prosecutors, and social workers who have been critical to this investigation and who are committed to getting justice. Now back to our boy Cresona. He appeared on Family Feud during, I like Steve Harvey too. He's the host now. He appeared on Family Feud during host Steve Harvey's first season in 2010. And, the judge in Orange County don't like Mr. Cresona too much because they denied him a bond, and he is locked up in custody, no bond, and he's face extradition to Delaware also, because I guess he's got them in both states. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Florida give it to him a little bit harder though. But the Florida broadcast station reported that Persona has been a teacher at 7 different schools in the area since 2008, was most recently employed at Andover Elementary as a 5th grade teacher. That was your class. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, 1st grade teacher. Oh. Wow, that's even worse, right? So naturally, the spokesperson for the school district says the individual was arrested due to a personal matter unrelated to the school and will not be returned to the campus while there is an open investigation. And you know what? Fuck him. Fuck the people. They're in so much trouble. You know, you cannot not do an investigation. Everybody's going to get fucked on this one. Mm-hmm. The school for not reporting it. If they did report it, the cops that showed up and interviewed, maybe the kid didn't want to talk at the time or whatever. Maybe they're an adult. I've had that happen too in cases where they were like, fuck you, it happened to me, but you can't tell anybody because I'm not pressing charges. I'm an adult and I got a family now, whatever. Yeah. But this dude, along with that priest, getting away with it forever. And guess what? They're never going to stop.
No.
Ever. And like migraines and homicides, you hear about it all the time, but if it was your kid going through it, you'd have a different take.
And they did the tried and true method of just move on down the road. And just before I get caught, just move on down the road.
Let's touch on that real quick. Somebody brought it to my attention recently. All kinds of different people in the world. And this person said that I covered up for Denny Perkins, who was the cop who lives in Paris, who raped and not only adults, but raped kids. And his wife was a 5th grade teacher, blah, 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 whatever. He's a shitbag. Said that I covered up for him and bought his boat and all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? The first of all, I hadn't seen Denny in 11 years, except for one rally, and where he was working in 11 years before he got arrested. Go on the record again. I never bought his fucking boat or anything else from him. And I did not know he was raping kids. If I did, I'd have hammered his ass. And when the media interviewed me about it, I said he should do the only honorable thing, which is take himself out. Yeah. Which means, kill yourself, motherfucker, so you don't have to put these kids on trial. So people, people talk, people say stupid shit they know nothing about. That's just one of many instances. People want to talk about people like us that put ourselves out there. Mm-hmm. And I get that, whatever. It doesn't affect me. I'm not mad about it. That person is a fucking idiot that said that. Right. And so I'm not mad about it, but people talk. But if there was any truth to it or anything to be investigated, like that person said, oh, Woody was with Denny when he did kids or something, fucking send the cops to talk to me all day long. Yeah. We'll roll with it. I won't even invoke a lawyer, right? Yeah. Because I didn't do shit. All right. And never would, never have. These people, they are fucked. 8 different school districts. Holy shit. How do you not know? And like you said, pass them down the line.
Well, all I have to say is we were married, I think, 14 years when the Denny and Cynthia Perkins thing came up, and I had never heard his name come out of your mouth. Yeah, and
you wouldn't. He and I worked the street together. We were detectives together and stuff, but I never partied with him. I never broke bread with him. We were on a SWAT team together. Now, is a lot more traumatic than it's almost like being in a war and being in a firefight together, foxhole buddies. We had that kind of relationship, but I never got down with him. So that, y'all, if you've been a victim, report it and don't take no for an answer, right?
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
So what do we got now?
We're going to stay, I'm staying in England.
Oh, well. It's time for Worldwide Crime. We need to do a call-in segment on this show.
We should.
Like, just pick random people. Or they can give us their numbers and pick random people and call them in and have them do a story.
Yeah.
All right.
I have Chelsea Connors. She sends me stories every single day, and I never get to read them. But she sent, like we can have her. And
we got Leah.
Leah,
I doubt if Leah would do it, but like Tommy could do one from England, and we can get one from Australia. We can get
Nicole keeps in touch with me, and so does
Dave McKinnon from Canada, and get them to do some worldwide stuff.
That's right.
Or if somebody, a lifer lives in a town where some real shit's going on, give us some real inside scoop.
That's right. Like the ones that told us about whatever it was the other day with the Tesla. What was it?
I think it was New York City, but
yeah. But I get what you're saying.
Right.
Like they're in the mix of it all. Well, we're going to Deal, England.
Deal.
All the way back to the year 1999.
D-I-L-L or D-E-A-L?
D-E-A-L, like deal.
Deal. What a deal.
That's right.
England.
What a deal. Right?
Right.
Not like a dill pickle.
Right.
Okay.
I like a good dill pickle every once in a while.
In May of 1999,
I was a whopping 29 years old.
Debbie Griggs, who was 34 at the time, was reported missing from her home in Deal, England. And she was a mother of 3, and she was 4 months pregnant.
Wow. So you got 3, 4's on the way, and you're missing. And the community, her little community, starts searching for her. Her husband, Andrew Griggs, was the one that reported her missing. Right. So we already know where the investigation is going to start. Let me say this real quick. The people never know, like small communities. I think so many different cases when people go missing and everybody comes out, and including most of the times the perpetrator. But not all of them are bad. I had 2 boys go missing one afternoon, and it was getting almost dark, and they'd gone down to whatever. We ended up finding them. Different ones were fine, but a lot of them ended up fucked up. Yeah,
but those little boys had just gone fishing that you were just telling the story about.
Yes, but they were still missing.
No, I know,
but there's been plenty. A 16-year-old girl who was missing and found her dead behind her house.
But the preface to that is not all of them are bad.
Yeah.
That's why I was completing your thought about the boys.
Thank you for completing my thought.
Well, because you didn't complete it.
All right, so she's missing. Husband reports her.
And days later, her car was found abandoned just a mile away from her home.
Okay.
Blood was inside.
I was about to say, what was the evidence?
But she had vanished. And there was no bank activity, no signs of travel, nothing.
Yeah.
Investigators suspected foul play, but without a body, they couldn't prove it.
I'm pretty sure the blood is an indicator. Ding, ding, ding. Possible foul play.
Right. So years passed. Then, of course, it's decades that have passed. And then in 2019, a breakthrough came. And Andrew Griggs was charged with her murder. So despite never recovering her remains, prosecutors laid out a case pointing to years of abuse, control, and motive. And a jury believed it. Andrew was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But I'm going to be like Paul Harvey.
The rest of
the story. So in 2022 and 2023, after Debbie vanished, her remains were found in a garden of a home.
I thought you said that her remains were never found.
They were not found, but he was convicted. And after that, her remains were found.
After the conviction?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she was buried in the garden of a home Andrew had moved to after her disappearance. And there was concrete proof that she had never left of her own free will, right? So.
Yeah. When you're buried, you can't leave your own free will when you're buried in the ground.
Right. So now, in a stunning courtroom revelation in March of 2025, Andrew admitted to something even more disturbing. He asked his own son to help dig up Debbie's remains and send a lock of hair to authorities in an attempt to make it look like she was still alive.
Oh, my God.
So he murdered his pregnant wife.
Got it.
Hid her body.
And the mother of his kids.
Had his own child tried to have his own child falsify evidence.
Think about this. You wake up every day. Your kids are in the house and shit. And you go to the kitchen sink and look out the window. You know, you murdered wife. You buried her right there. She's pushing up daisies, literally. You get to look at her every day.
Yeah. And they have 3 kids, right? So they're grown up.
Would have had 4. Oh, I'm sorry. You killed your wife and unborn baby.
Just right.
State versus Peterson, Scorch.
So he chooses one to say, hey, go dig up your mama's body and cut off some of her hair. How do you choose that child? Like you're looking at all of your kids. Which one do you think is going to do this?
Whichever one that you have the most control over.
That's exactly right. So that's where that ends. But isn't that the craziest?
They say how old the kid was when he dug her up? And got her hair and tried.
He tried to make the kid do it. The kid didn't do it. He tried to get the kid to do it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he is an idiot. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. The pushing up daisies, oh man, it's just twisted. That would be like the boxes we have in the yard with the plants in it. If I had you buried in the bottom of one of them and I grew vegetables on top of you every year.
I would push up the best vegetables.
I probably wouldn't eat out of that box.
You wouldn't eat out of that box.
Baby, I'm not a twisted sick fucker who's going to bury you in the backyard.
Like I wouldn't eat the crabs that the doggies were in the crab pots.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
That's yours. So you definitely wouldn't.
I don't eat like, there's certain like types of ducks that just eat grass and shit. And then I don't eat those because it tastes like grass. Certain catfish, mud cats, taste like mud.
But that's why you like aim eat mud aim eat catfish because it's the sandy bottom, right?
Yeah, but they still got some mud cats in it. But the sand bottom purifies water like every 3 feet as it's rolling down. Mm-hmm. It's like a natural filter.
Yeah.
Best eating catfish in the world.
Yeah.
I know I've told you this, but I was in a fancy restaurant in New York City on business. So fancy where you open the menu and there's no prices. But in the special of the day, the waiter comes, let me hear your specials, and he's speaking in his accent, The special today is the Amite River catfish from Amite River in Louisiana. And it's a very fine and select catfish because of the water purifies itself. I'm thinking, motherfucker, I live on the Amite River.
Literally.
And not getting the Amite River catfish served in New York City.
No.
So anyway, good stuff. Well, we love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you to our sponsors.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of them now. Y'all, I know it's funny, the voice when I read the commercials and stuff like that, but we do, get to try those things. And I, of course, naturally, I don't do harmony. That's Cyndi shit, but the other, other stuff, we get to try it. And it's legit stuff. And hopefully you save some money in this. They're good products.
So I didn't get a chance to tell you about what I talked to Red Circle about yesterday. I had a meeting with them.
People don't know who Red Circle is.
I'm going to tell you. So Red Circle is the company that I load the podcast to, and it distributes the podcast to all the platforms. Guess what Red Circle would. They
also are agents for advertising.
And that's why I was going to continue with that. But so yes, they are that. Guess what they would like us to do?
What?
They would like us to go on YouTube and do a simulcast, do our podcast on video. because they have a lot of advertisers that want to see us on video, and
Cool.
we would do baked in ads.
Well,
So I'm
set
just
it up.
curious.
I'm looking at a camera
I
stand right
told
there.
him, I said, we've got the camera and everything to do it. It's just the process of doing it. I want to talk to the listeners to see if they want to watch it.
Yeah. And we used to do YouTube back in the day. Interesting. That means I have to shower and shave before I come out here. Can't be
I have
all
to
nasty.
put on makeup.
You don't need makeup. All right. Interesting. Y'all let us know if you want to see it on YouTube. Simulcast. I know Joe Rogan and all of them did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. And of course, Patreon of Convicts, you don't have to worry about the commercials. And because you get commercial free early releases, 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week, and all the other benefits. If you want to be a patron, go to patreon.com, type in Real Life Real Crime. It'll give you the different subscription levels, or you can download the Real Life Real Crime Community app for free from the App Store and go in there and become a convict. All the different subscription levels are on there, and you get all kinds of crazy good shit. So interesting. And that's it. I got no more time, no more crime for today.
Okay.
No more crime time for today. Right?
Right.
And I'm Woody Overton.
I'm Cyndi Overton.
We'll holler at you later. Peace.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.